Hello world, hello Africa, and hello Ghana. It's good to see you again. It is the 11th of June 2022 and we are super excited to be on your screens once again. You know, Saturdays are just for diplomatic affairs. This is the only show that brings you happenings from the diplomatic community in Ghana and around the world. And today is going to be yet another epic production. We'll be talking about World Environment Day. And it's a big deal for us, and we'll tell you in a bit the diplomatic twist when it comes to protecting or preserving the environment. International organizations and environmentalists have advocated that the health of our ocean is at a tipping point. Hence, the need to change our attitude towards the planet, demanding a collective effort to take care of the earth. As part of raising awareness on the significance of marine life to life on Earth, the Rocky Dawuni Foundation, in collaboration with the international community, agencies, and other stakeholders, embarked on a beach cleaning exercise in commemoration of the World Ocean Day, which falls on the 8th of June each year, like I indicated earlier. On this episode of Diplomatic Affairs, we will discuss various initiatives such as World Environment and Ocean Day and the Green Ghana Day project, which is geared towards protecting and safeguarding our planet. My name is Harriet Nate and the show is Diplomatic Affairs. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, and we have a global audience. Also, we are in over 40 African countries. My guest is already seated, and there is so much that we will be sharing with you right after this break. Please stay. Right, so welcome back once again. My name is Harriet Nate and you are watching Diplomatic Affairs. Like I said, we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, so join us and let's get interactive. We are in 46 African countries, and of course, we are in some parts of Europe via satellite. So join us wherever you are and let's have a very productive conversation on this episode of Diplomatic Affairs. I've been making so much noise about my guest for today. He's no stranger to this house and to this platform. He's been on the show once, so this is going to be his second time of appearing on Diplomatic Affairs because he's a diplomat, and that's what happens when we have the right people talking to us on the issues. I have with me Ambassador Rocky Dawuni, and he is here in the studio with us. We'll be talking about the environment, we'll talk about climate change, we'll talk about all the initiatives that are in place to get us to begin to pay attention to our planet. Rocky Dawuni, it's good to have you on the show again.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing very, very, very well. You know, it's been an amazing, last few days. I mean, the rains have just been everywhere. And for me, the rains have such a cleansing, calming effect. And as much as, a lot of times too, we have to deal with the product of, the rains and the flooding and all of that, we need it for, the soil, farms, and, our agriculture, productivity and all of that. So, the rainy season just brings a good feeling for me, and the last days have been amazing. Yeah,
well, it does. It has not disrupted your plans, I can say so.
A few of them, a few
meeting you everywhere. I've been meeting you everywhere, Rocky, everywhere. The interesting thing about the diplomatic community is that it's like a family. The same people you will meet at a certain place, they are the same people you'll be meeting when you go to another place. So it's, for me, it's like, you know, family, and they are very supportive of each other.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to know that you actually had their support in executing this fantastic, you know, project, which is the World Ocean Day event. So we'll talk more about that. But you have a huge responsibility on your shoulder. Let's talk about your role as the UN Goodwill Ambassador for the Environment for Africa.
Yes.
That's a huge responsibility. The last time you were here, we actually discussed cultural and showbiz diplomacy, so we couldn't delve much into this, you know, task that you have to, you know, execute. But tell us more. I'm very much interested.
Well, for me, you know, it came as a result of, you know, the work that I've been doing. You know, as a musician, I always have the opportunity of to communicate with my audience. So from, you know, a very early stage, I understood the power of, you know, transforming, you know, the voice of music and the ability to communicate and engage with people, that this was something tangible, that if there's a purpose to it, it can be, you know, a great tool for social transformation and a great tool to create impact. You know, so as my stature grew, I understood this. And then also coming from this part of the world, you know, my family comes from the north, agricultural family. So the environment, you know, dealing with the soil, agriculture, you know, those were just second nature to me. You know, I grew up, we always had a farm. My father was always teaching us, you know, those skills and the importance of honoring and, you know, taking care of the soil, you know. So as I grew in stature, not only within Ghana and around the world, there was so many opportunities, you know, in terms of collaborating on social initiatives. You know, I served with the Clean Cooking Alliance as an ambassador, you know, to bring in attention to people in terms of
raising
awareness of, you know, clean cooking, you know, access to energy, all of this in terms of helping to, first of all, protecting the environment, you know, enhancing livelihoods, and then also, you know, people at the bottom of the pyramid, giving them an opportunity to be able to transform themselves from, you know, being able to take care of them, you know. So there's such a diverse aspect of being able, with that knowledge base, being able to be an instrument of communication. So the environment was just a natural thing. I had already been, you know, apart from the cultural space and musical space, during my concerts, I try to bring people and conscientize them about the importance of knowing that we only have one earth. And the importance to know that the earth too, if we look at it as a sentient being, because if we were living beings and there's something that gives us life, then obviously there's a certain connection to it. So, and when we look at even indigenous knowledge, you know, both our indigenous knowledge and indigenous knowledge from all around the world, there was always, you know, the drive to create a harmony between people and then the environment. But now with the pressure of modernization, the pressure of economic prosperity, the pressure of development, the pressure of cities and, you know, leadership having to make decisions, you know, to deal with issues of poverty, you know, employment, sometimes the environment suffers because ultimately it's about being able to, show the numbers. And I feel that my role when eventually the United Nations Environment, called on me to take on this role, it was something that I had been aspiring to it. And it gave me the opportunity for...
It was a fine opportunity for you.
Fine opportunity, to be a conduit between the people, the message, and the people, and then also become a tool of conversation, creating that space, because sometimes when things are done on the UN level, great ideas, they sometimes get lost in terms of transforming it to have a bigger impact. And I feel that my work and my profile allows me to be a good conduit, especially when it comes to Africa.
Well, indeed, you are a good conduit when it comes to the world and Africa, with your responsibility as, you know, getting the message out there. I'll come to the convention adopted in Nairobi.
Yes.
Before we do that, let's talk about if we have given back enough to the planet. Have we? Because personally, in my opinion, I think that on the 5th of June every month, which is, you know, declared as World Environment Day, is not enough for us to really drive the conversation. So have we done enough by first getting the message out there, creating awareness and sensitizing the people?
No, we have not, because when you look at what's going on right now, we're falling short in every aspect. You know, first of all, even when we look in our own backyard, you know, tree cutting, people are cutting trees everywhere. You know, there's still the, you know, we need to sensitize people about the value of trees. You know, trees that produce medicine, you know, trees that protect waterways, trees that have economic value, trees that provide shade, trees that also kind of maintains our biodiversity. People cut it without sometimes even kind of thinking about it.
Is it because we don't know the implications of our actions?
No, because we haven't done enough to sensitize people about the value of it. Because sometimes, you know, I went through a phase where at first I was always blaming the people. You know, when I see trees being cut, I'll confront people and be like, hey, you see this tree, you shouldn't do all of that. Only to see that, okay, the person needs it for something, firewood, or his answer is like, oh, it's just making so much rubbish that I needed to cut it. So I was like, okay, then the problem is making the person understand that value. And I feel that if we are going to get everybody to be part of the solution, then we have to involve everybody and sensitize everybody. So that's why when you look at plastics, you know, I mean, look at what is happening. You know, you buy something, they wrap plastic around your plastic. You know, so when it comes to single-use plastics, you know, our laws here has not been like, let's say, a place like Rwanda or Kenya in East Africa, where
there are policies in place.
Policies, strong policies, and ways of enforcing it. You know, so now we have the reins, and we are seeing a product of that, because people throw this bag and expect, when you ask somebody, so zoom lion, befa. You know, because they feel that someone else's responsibility, but you're the person taking it and throwing it. So people's responsibility in terms of contributing to, you know, plastic pollution, diminishing its impact is also very key. When it comes to also usage of pesticides, you know, now I was in my village, and, you know, a lot of I was talking to a lot of their, you know, my friends who were farmers over there, and they were telling me about how big of acreage that they are farming. And then in the conversation, I found out that mostly some of them use weedicides in terms of to clear the land. And then in the conversation, I was like, but do you know that the place where you fetch the water is the same weedicide? When it rains, it drains all of this weedicide into that water source, and you go and drink from that water source. So you're not only poisoning the land, and in the long run reducing the capacity of the soil to keep being sustainable, what you're doing is also poisoning, you know, all the flora and fauna and life that is in the water, and at the same time you are also, so it's like the cycle, you know, when you pollute and you don't take care of the earth, sometimes it's not really about the immediate impact of it, but it's the long-term impact. That's why for me, people are the most important aspect of my advocacy, to instill in people that this is a beautiful planet. This is, you know, it's giving us so much everywhere you go. I mean, you plant a seed here, it grows. And you don't even know the mechanism of how that becomes. It provides food, it provides shade, it provides medicine. So, you know, it's really a miracle of life. So for us to be worthy of that miracle, that means our responsibility too. We need to recognize our responsibility and act accordingly. ignorance might come at a cost. And right now we are seeing the evidence in terms of changes in the weather, changes in productivity in so many places, and all of these things are transboundary. That means they don't respect your border. So if let's say emissions are happening in one country, we can use, fancy words and fancy policies to think that those emissions are not going to go across the border and all of us become victims of it. So that's why I think that we haven't done a lot because of where we are right now, and we just need to redouble our efforts and also go into a mode of emergency, active action, proactive action in order for us to do it. Yes.
Reinforcement.
Yes.
Right. So let's talk about the UN Environment Program. So this took place...
the UN Environmental Assembly. Yes,
under the United Nations.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
so
yes.
the office is in Nairobi.
Yes, this was actually one of the biggest, kind of convening of member states representing
all the 193.
Yes, everybody in terms of
UN.
Focusing.
Right.
And then this year too was the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the United Nations Environment Program.
50th anniversary.
Yes.
We'll talk about the 50th anniversary.
So it's happening. It was kind of happening at a time when we are at a cusp of big global changes. Weather is changing. Climate is at the forefront of national policies because we're seeing the effects of certain actions, and we're seeing that those are not only national security but international security issues, because it's places where they're losing food and water and all of that. People are migrating, and you're seeing how it can have a destabilizing effect on the world. So climate and finding solutions, and also bringing a collective mindset to do what is right rather than more of the old same attitude was very critical. So I felt honored that I was present at this year's assembly, and I played a very important role too when they were negotiating. So they had come to a point where the negotiations were almost on the verge of an enforceable plastic agreement among the member states. So during the break, there was a convening of all the people who were involved, and I did a performance and also an inspirational talk, addressed them that we were all at the cusp of making history. Although we're not going to solve the plastic issue right away there, but we were creating the legislative and policy framework and foundation for us to be able for it to be enforceable as to what everybody does. And I felt that was one big stepping stone that we needed in the overall global fight to change attitudes and reverse this.
5 decades of climate action, pushing for climate action. Would you say we have accomplished? Have we been able to achieve the objective for which this platform was introduced?
Well, the thing is that I haven't been privy through in terms of its inception and all of that, and through various leaderships and the work that they've done, and whether at certain time they paid attention to it. But I feel like the environment aspect of the UN has been gaining prominence more as the evidence, the data was showing, certain in terms of what was going on around the world, and then the leaders were starting to see the physical effects too. So I feel that it has become one of the most relevant aspects of the United Nations, or if not the most relevant, because right now, when you even think of geopolitics, all the geopolitics are going to be shifting around. Despite the political shifts that are going around, climate issues and the product of its impact, and whether it's something that is based on evidence or is based on whatever anybody thinks, it's an issue that the whole world right now is discussing. And the UNEP voice and being the convening body for the United Nations when it comes to the environment has become, the tip of the spear for this whole kind of, crisis that we are dealing with right now.
Right. So let's get very practical with our conversation.
Yes.
I love the fact that at the multilateral level, we have decided, world leaders have decided to find the need to create a platform that would advocate for the need for us to preserve or protect the planet. That's fantastic. Foreign policy framework is already in place. We are celebrating 50 years, 5 decades, like you mentioned.
Yes.
I happened to chance on this because I had to read to explore further,
yes,
and for the sake of information and knowledge. So
yes,
I take interest in some of these things. But beyond the conversations at the top,
yes,
where we have global leaders meeting to discuss some of the issues that the world, is faced with, how can we, you are one person who is doing so much, we have a responsibility to push for this agenda, to reach the ordinary people, those of us who are right, at the grassroots, so we can get you and get to listen to your message. You do that through music, and that's super awesome.
Yes.
And you have various ways of carrying the message across to the people. How can we get other platforms, like soft platforms? The intangibles, I've always said, in diplomacy matters a lot.
Yes.
How can we
yes.
get other musicians to probably begin to be exposed to this or these kinds of platforms to also help in championing the message,
Well,
the cause?
I don't think you necessarily have to be an ambassador for you to be able to rise up to your responsibility. I just happened that I was doing the works, and then there was kind of like there, where we saw the opportunity that what I had to say, and I always believe that too, that as a musician, you have the opportunity to articulate and communicate. And that power, and then also the power to influence. But then the thing is that if you don't believe in that message too, that message, the authenticity will it will be a big drawback to the message. So I always don't think it's something like, oh, we need pop culture to carry it. I just feel that when it comes to people who believe in it, they come from across the social structure and social spectrum. So certain artists, through their art, they work on the environment. Actually, to talk about that, there was an amazing sculpture that was created this year. The artist's name is escaping me, but it was a huge, it was during the UN, United Nations Environment Assembly in Nairobi, and it was at the entrance. So it was a huge tap that was in the sky. And the way he put it, you just see the sky. I mean, this was kind of really an amazing optic illusion.
Very symbolic.
Very, very symbolic. And the tap was open from the sky, but out of the tap was pouring all of these plastics onto the earth. And it was all the brands, various companies and brand names, who use all. So it was almost like, using art. And it was visual. And I remember, when, President Uhuru Kenyatta came and, opened the ceremonies and all of that, and I saw him and everybody comes and everybody looks at it, and you could see that the impact of that visual was getting imprinted on all the leaders who were there, and at the same time to all the people who were there. So that's also art, using another aspect of art. And I feel, I just met this amazing poet right before the show.
This young chap.
Yeah, and we're talking about poetry.
Spoken words.
Spoken word, like all of these art forms. But for you to write something like that, you have to believe in it, And for me, I feel that believing in something authenticates the message. And also that element of trust, when you talk about it too, it resonates with people. They can hear you, and they can hear your sincerity, and they can hear that you're communicating it because you also believe and you're trying to actually make a positive change and a positive impact. So I think that for me, I try this almost like by osmosis. You know, I don't feel like we need a group of people just cheerleading a message necessarily because they feel it's a trend. Yeah, you have to believe in it, or else the message will expose you.
Right, you have to believe in it, else the message will expose you. But can't we see what is happening around us globally?
Yes.
We can feel the impact of climate change.
So that's why I'm saying that
deforestation,
yes.
We can feel the impact.
Yes.
So we can feel the impact of our actions.
Yes.
How about we begin to derive that kind of interest from that area?
Oh, you mean in terms of...
In terms of putting the message out there. Like you rightly stated, you necessarily don't have to become an official ambassador.
Yes.
But
that's why
if you see what is happening in your environment,
yes, that's
I know you get inspiration
every individual is an ambassador, is an emissary of the earth, because the earth has given so much to us. And if even you look, let me step in another framework, because I always like to use symbolisms. And even when you subscribe to the Judeo-Christian philosophy or worldview of the world, okay, when humanity was in a garden, you know, so right from it was a garden was the whole system where human life was placed in the beginning. So whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it, the symbolism of the role of the earth is so key. So everybody, you know, once you have life, you know, once you eat, once you breathe the air, I mean, you wake up and you breathe, and you don't even know where the oxygen comes from. And you don't even know that the ocean actually contributes about 70% of the oxygen that is in the air. So you need to make sure that your plastics are not going to the ocean. You know, the ocean also, you know, it absorbs about 20% of the carbon that is produced, so that our air is balanced. So all of the natural systems have a role to make sure that we human beings, when you wake up, you get up, you stretch your hands, and like, hey, it's a good day. You go and sit your car and you drive. But you don't think about the systems that are all working in harmony to make sure that whatever you do, you know, you have good health and you're able to focus and you know, live in vitality, you know, your food and all of that, to be able to, so each of us is responsible. Each of us is an ambassador. And that's what I try to say, that I don't stand on a pedestal to be a messenger. My whole thing is that through me, that message inspires others to become messengers.
Well, we need more people. I know we have some very good musicians out there as ambassadors when it comes to, you know, the earth, the planet. And so we need more. I think we need more. At this point, we need more. And we need to ensure that we have the message reaching the people at the grassroots as well, because my concern with the last time I laid out when I had the opportunity to interview the EU ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Ichad Razali, I mentioned to him that, well, he also talked about the policy framework, you know, with us that are in place when it comes to the environment and all of these. And I said, one of the things that I see that makes me angry in our communities is the open burning of refuse. And I think, was it 3 months ago, I had a call from somewhere around East Legon or airport. I can't really recall. But someone called me to ask, can you please do something about this by talking about it on your show? My show carries a lot of weight, but it is not enough. We need every platform to begin to advocate when it comes to preserving the planet. Let's talk about the World Ocean Day celebration. That was very huge. It had the support that I know when I put this message out there, inspiring communities to take action, or community action when it comes to the planet, I received lots of messages asking, so what's the diplomatic, you know, what's the correlation, you know, like they can't get it. So where's the and I say the diplomatic twist is that there are lots of policy frameworks at the multilateral level where conversations are ongoing. And we have Rocky Dawuni as the ambassador, UN Goodwill Ambassador for the environment for Africa. And so that's the diplomatic twist. And it also has a diplomatic twist because what you did was in partnership with the diplomatic community or international community.
Yes.
And they all came out in their numbers. I have a video clip that I'm going to show to our viewers, and then when we come back, we will talk more, explore that particular assignment. So if I have my clip ready, can we take a look at it? Environment, the assignments we covered recently. Can we take a look at it, please? A sack. What's the content?
The content here is trash. The content here is trash in plastic form, and I think the message here is the ocean is bleeding, the ocean is suffering, the ocean is complaining, and it is as a result of human action. Irresponsible human action in form of how we dispose our waste, and in particular plastics.
What can we do about this? Because it looks like every year we come here to clean.
First of all, I think we all need to have a common understanding that we have individual responsibility on how we handle our waste.
Do you think we have gotten the message across so well?
I think it's an ongoing conversation. I don't think a time is coming soon when everybody will be on board. But I think it is a beginning that we need to continue a conversation. We need to sensitize, and in particular, we need the media. The media needs to come on board, both in what we call the contemporary media, the social media, and everybody else. But actually, when looking at this, the industry, the private sector needs really to review their action, because minus the ocean, which occupies over 70% of the global planet, and which contributes over 25% of our oxygen, and also sinks over 30% of carbon dioxide. If we don't have a healthy ocean, all of us are cooked. I'm saying this deliberately because the ocean is the medium by which it regulates the environment, it regulates the ecosystem, but importantly also, that is where all commerce is done. Over 97% of trade in goods is done through the ocean. You're talking about industry in shipping, you're talking about tourism, leisure, and everything else. But it is so important that minus the oceans, none of us will be in existence. That's the bottom line. And I think it is important that each one of us, irrespective of how much you consider to have contributed to this discourse and how much you have contributed to the menace, that we go back and ask ourselves, what is it that I can do? Because everybody, not just government, not politician, not diplomatic corps, it is each one of us to have a contribution towards this. It's a hefty, it's a huge discussion, it's a huge burden, but each one of us. But the first thing to do is begin to reorganize ourselves and change our way of our disposal.
Welcome back. You're still watching Diplomatic Affairs. So that was the High Commissioner of Kenya to Ghana, His Excellency Elifaz Barin, who also participated in the World Ocean Day event, the commemoration, which you decided to put together the diplomatic community or the international community to come together and clean the Labadi Beach hotel, the surroundings of the Labadi Beach hotel. So that was very successful. I was cleaning too. I had a very heavy bag. Did you see the bag? I was carrying this huge sack. It was actually very heavy. But I saw the United Nations Residence Coordinator to Ghana, His Excellency Charles Abani, also participating in the event. You had almost everyone. The Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, Claudia Teba-Quintero, was also there.
Yes. Ambassadors from
all the ambassadors, Togo, name it, all the Africa, Faso, and Lebanon. Then all of them were there. That was that's a huge success for you, and this is to really show that that's what you are committed to, and that's your responsibility. It's all of us our responsibility. Yes. Listening to the High Commissioner of Kenya to Ghana, he said that's as a result of our actions, human actions.
Yes.
For you, where are we going from here, Bucky? Every year we will go and clean. Where are we going from there?
Well, you know, the thing is that sometimes the issues might be so big that you feel that your actions are not making
enough,
you know. But when you believe that every drop of ocean, every drop of water from the ocean also carries the ocean, the entire ocean in the drop, then you know that your actions that you do too are, when collectively everybody decides and sees that, okay, we have to positively clean the ocean. You know, we have to positively wake up in the morning, you know, the people who live on, you know, close to the ocean, go clean it up. Everybody wakes up, cleans the gutter. Everybody controls the plastic usage or an outright banning of plastics, which many countries have done. Or even the whole thing of putting more taxes on plastics so that, you know, when people buy, you have the option of getting plastics, but you pay for it. And then we promote like reusable bags that people, like what I have here, you know, something like this that people can use to go buy their stuff, their groceries or stuff in, and then keep using them. You see, so I feel that in our actions, our little actions, collectively we create a tide and we create a movement. And that is the tipping point at which we are trying to reach. But it will take so much ignition of action in different places. But sometimes those things can happen overnight. So we have to see that every step that we take is also adding and, you know, and creating impact. So my whole, you know, I'm very honored that, you know, also, you know, under the auspices of my foundation, when I reached out
that's the Rocky Dawuni Foundation.
Rocky Dawuni Foundation, you know, focusing on environment, culture, and then youth leadership. You know, when I reached out to the community, and the response that I got was really humbling, because for me, the environment is key. So every emissary of the various countries who are here to are part of our community, you know. So once you are appointed into our community, you are part of us.
Right.
And for your tenure, you are also contributing to, you know, strengthening relations and also, you know, having empathy in terms of the problems that we are trying to solve, and then bringing the resources or know-how or your ability to help us solve it. So I felt that even when it comes to diplomacy, you know, this was an exercise in diplomacy in action, you know, because it's being conscious of what is needed. Everybody knows that this problem is global. Every country that was represented is dealing with a certain level of that, a level of that challenge. But all of us to come and symbolically work together, clean up. And I had, you know, I engaged in a lot of the, you know, the people the communities who live down there, you know, came and joined and started helping, and everybody was trying to ask, and I was like, you know, when we leave, the responsibility is going to be on you. And I had appointed a few people who were going to continue. So the idea is that once we do these ignition events, we use that to engage the community, but then the responsibility is on the community, because everybody's coming from different countries to come and help you clean your environment and be concerned about something that is immediately impacting you. But obviously it's impacting the whole globe because of the ocean. The trash goes,
you know, someone asked me,
everywhere.
so why should we sit for, you know, these emissaries in our country to rather do the cleaning for us?
No, it's not that we're sticking to them.
So I said, I'm sure this person needed more education.
Yes,
or, you know, so I'm sure he didn't really understand the concept.
Yes.
But I noticed something also at the beach cleanup exercise, you know, when we went to Labadi Beach Hotel. You went out of your way together with other ambassadors, diplomats, to engage the community.
Yeah.
So the people, the individuals in their homes.
Yes.
I saw you interacting with them,
Yes.
and also engaging and involving the gentlemen, the boys and the
Yes,
men
the
who
local youth.
exactly
Yes,
in the
yes.
neighborhood,
Yes.
and they came on board
Yeah.
to support.
Yeah, yeah. It's all a matter of how you, the conversation. That's
How
why
can
I
we
believe
police?
communication.
How can we police this? Because we did a very good job,
We
and
did
I
a good
wish
job, but
that
they
we could-
are the
we-
ambassadors. That's what I
Right.
told them. You know, that, you know, when the ambassadors finish the mandate of that responsibility is being handed to them, they are the leaders who are supposed to carry that. So
that sense of ownership.
that sense of ownership. So when sometimes, even when you do it to one, it doesn't go. But if you keep doing it and doing it,
Why must I do it?
because
understand?
yes, yeah, why must I do it?
Why?
And you come to understand that it's something that is good for me, it's good for my community, it makes my community looks good. It also makes sure the ocean looks good, and it's good for my health. And most of the people living there too come from farming, what's called fishing communities.
Right.
And they are the most impacted by the plastic.
And you said we are
the
catching
issue
more
goes to the
plastics than
ocean.
fish.
Exactly.
That's scary.
Exactly. And there's such loss of livelihood all along the coast. Every time I travel, I stop along the coast, go to the fishermen, I talk to them, and go to the environment, and the stories of many of them going out there, investing in personnel, going out to the ocean all night long, coming up with like
Nothing.
fish, nothing, and plastics. It breaks my heart, and most of them are going bankrupt because of that. So it's a matter of urgency. I think that we as a country, we need the political courage. I know our leaders have, and I know that, the plastic lobby is strong. It's strong everywhere around it, but they can be part of it because if your product is found in that, then you are responsible for cleaning it. Or we should be investing, transferring some of the profits from there to invest in recycling, initiate businesses, collection businesses, taking cleaning of the oceans, stopping also the single-use one, I think, the addiction to plastic. I think that's also another thing. There's addiction to plastic. Everybody will take some. They will take corn. You buy corn in a beautiful husk, and they will remove it from the husk. This beautiful husk, you remove it from it, and then wrap it in one plastic, put it into another plastic. When you finish, they put another plastic and hand it to you.
I'm so sorry, but I mean, it's a very sensitive issue.
Yeah, but for
at
me,
the same time,
it provides me opportunity to communicate with. So I tell her, I'm just like, don't you know this is even the best way? And she's like, yes. I'm like, so why do you give them the plastics? Like, because everybody wants. I'm like, well, don't give people, start handing people.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think as a country, let's not even go to crossing other borders, let's just focus, in our jurisdiction.
Yes.
Do you think the ban of plastics would do the magic somehow?
It's not, a ban does not necessarily mean it's going to do that, but there has to be some enforceable action, and there has to be some level too of ways of curtailing it.
But we have beautiful laws. We have beautiful laws written, but enforcing them is a problem.
I think also when there is a certain and I'm not advocating for taxes or any kind of thing, but
did you meet some of the traditional leaders, like in that particular community?
Yeah,
because I think
that's why
we need direct
everybody.
engagement.
We need everybody. Right. We need everybody, because if you go to a village, a traditional village, and it's filled with plastics, obviously it doesn't augur well for the image of the community. So the traditional leaders need to see that this is also a matter of the optics of their environment. So if you're inviting somebody and you're sitting in the midst of, a plastic trash, it doesn't speak well for your community. So they all have to see that this is something that we all benefit from taking action, and we have to find the sweet spot. I'm not a radical. I'm not asking for something radical till we get to the point where we have no other option. But I feel that we are at that tipping point right now, and we need to, and we can see that apathy is becoming very prevalent too in all aspects, in terms of the tree cutting, in terms of the forest that we're, right now the conversations are about, from Achimota forest to Itiwa forest to all of these heritages that protect water and all of that. So there's, you know, it's something that I believe that people are thinking about it, and it's, you know, people are feeling connected to it. So that we need to take action, and we need our leaders to help us, so that in the long run it's about sustainability, it's about protecting our own people, and it's about the development of our country.
Right. So we all need to come on board. Well, Plastic Punch is a non-governmental organization. They also collaborated with the European Union delegation here in Ghana, and I think the United UNDP, to also undertake, you know, a beach cleanup exercise. So we're there as usual. You know, when it comes to happenings in the diplomatic community, we are your go-to place for that. And so we captured this very important event, and we need to share that with you as well. Take a look at that.
Together with the partners, European Union in Ghana and the UNDP in Ghana, we're having this beach cleanup to commemorate World Environment Day and World Ocean Day. As we are all aware, the ocean plays a very important role in our ocean ecosystem. It provides us more than half of our oxygen and absorbs most of the carbon dioxide that we need. It means that the ocean plays a very essential and very important role for our survival. So we are here to show our love for the ocean by trying to keep the beach clean, as well as collecting relevant data on who and what is polluting these turtle nesting beaches. We want to keep the beaches safe for the turtles to come and nest, as well as raise awareness on what the problem is, so that we can have more people to come on board, including policymakers, different stakeholders, municipalities, and also citizens, to reduce their plastic consumption, so that at the end we can have a cleaner and better and healthier Ghana for all of us.
Supporting this initiative, which is led by Plastic Punch and the rest of the diplomatic community, United Nations as well, because environment and the issues related to plastic waste is a key issue of concern for us when it comes to sustainability. Sustainability, it's about you, it's about me, it's about our common future, it's about our children. And if we don't care about the world in which our children will live, who will care for that? So this is the reason why the EU is supporting this type of initiative. But beyond that, we want as well to raise awareness on the fact that collectively as individuals, we need to change our behavior when it comes to use of plastic. But beyond that, we need to have solutions in order to recycle plastic. And we are promoting and supporting already some Ghanaian companies. We are doing that. And we have been happy and thrilled to see that those companies are making money out of it. They are creating jobs out of it. They are developing new technologies out of it. And this will create some edge for the economic stance of Ghana in the region. So what we are saying is recycling plastic on top of changing our behavior is a good business and can create investment and job, which ultimately is something we all care about for the future of Ghana and the youth of Ghana.
Right, so you're still watching Diplomatic Affairs with me, Harriet Nate. The 5th of June each year is World Environment Day, and there were so many activities lined up to commemorate the day, and we showed up and covered almost all the events that were held here in the country. Rocky Dauni Foundation also participated in commemorating the day, and so that was the Plastic Punch, and of course in collaboration with the European Union delegation in Ghana, and then the UNDP also creating the awareness and sensitizing the public in the process of getting us to act better.
Yes.
I will take you to the foreign affairs, but before we do that, Rocky, let me just ask you this. Let me seek your view on this. Do you think companies that produce, these should be taxed?
I think that
Do we need to tax them?
they needs to come to terms with the product of what's, this
They produce.
unchecked,
Right.
and they need to be brought in as part of the solution. And on the government side too, if there is a certain burden, whether it's to the person who is getting it, if you're asking for plastics, then you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So what it could happen was that if there is a tax system on plastic that the government is using to deal with this issue, then that tax, the companies will pass it on to the people who are buying. And if you go and you don't have maybe a reusable bag and you ask for plastics, maybe you pay 1 cedi or something for
That
the
will
plastic.
serve as a deterrent.
Exactly, because it will be something that people have to make the choice, So I feel that, sometimes you can solve issues by using the same market forces, but then the revenue too that will come from this special plastic tax will be invested into recycling plants and also means to which we can clean, because clean country is tourism.
Right.
You
That was
know,
coming to tourism.
Yeah, it's like our environment. If your country is, you go to the beaches, why will anybody go to, all the Caribbean and all of that? Because when you see
Clean
shots,
beaches. Very attractive.
beautiful, very attractive. You go there.
The waters are clean.
Exactly, gutters are clean. You don't see any like plastics or any kind of rubbish or stuff in the gutter. So if we do this, it also increases our ability to use our beaches as a selling point to attract more tourism. And even we have so many incredible beaches that we can compete.
Yes.
But if people come here and they have a first-hand experience of that, these days social media, they only have to take a photograph of a beach and post it, and that's it. It turns a lot of people off. So for our image as a country who is trying to look at avenues of, and especially the post-COVID world, when we're trying to maximize our ability economically and be on our footing, I feel that solving that, taking urgent action to solve the plastic issue would be a big way to also amplify and also push the revenue that comes from tourism.
All right, so I will move to my last story. It's very brief though. I'll take you to the Foreign Affairs Ministry because the minister also commemorated the Green Ghana Day, which is to promote the planting of trees, afforestation. So we're there. So let's go to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. When we come back, we will be wrapping up.
Your question will be here because first of all, uko ye forest mua ube who say ye tree and rianin na inti adia Ministry of Lands here because we are now doing afforestation. We are the deforestation now. I say environment, more to replace the trees and the forest cover that we have lost. And for us, very important. We are cautioning everybody that it's not the best. For especially more into forest, forest, especially rosewood to sell outside. How is it say omo amanone omo will be a bit bebre will be omo ntwa omo de no but omo ebeji ye de na ye wo no and to deplete our forest no emwaye and it continues to be a problem inti enjai sa de na ye no. If the allegation is true, say omo boa and no omo twa ni omo njai because omo ye no omo line omo pocket, however emwaye as a nation emwaye na. We are looking not just at ourselves today, but generations to come, and so because we will get to a point where we will have no trees, we will have no forests, and a country without forests. Nyamia Bwayeng in Africa, to put us in a continent where there's a lot of trees, foliage. Inti idea ese yebo ho ban inti omo njai.
So you're still watching Diplomatic Affairs with me, Harriet Nati, and so far so good. We're still adding our voices to the need to preserve the planet, and that's our home. Without it, we are not in existence, and we need all hands on deck so we can take care of the environment. So that was the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Madam Shirley Ayoko Buche, also participating in the Green Ghana initiative. It's the second edition. Yes. So that's the second edition, and I think this was introduced by the current government. That's the President, Senado Danko Akufo-Addo. Yes. I think it's been so far so good, I can say, because it looks like we are trumpeting it to as far as we can, and we are getting the message across. I saw institutions from both the public and the private sectors also participating in the event. Where were you? You were somewhere in Ekriapem?
No, first of all, I supported the Ministry of Lands and
Natural Resources on
this initiative. Okay. So I filmed PSAs for...
I understand all the trees that are planted are monitored.
Yes. Yeah. You know, and then I went to, I was in Cape Coast to collaborate with the regional minister and also the deputy regional minister for Lands and Natural Resources to work with the students to launch the One Student, One Tree initiative over there. And then I came to Ekropon and joined the people and chiefs of Ekropon. We had an event in Tutu yesterday when the planting was taking. So myself and the students, you know, and the rains came down and we're all drenched as we're planting and all. And
these were the peoples.
These were the people, and the thing is that for me, I am very excited that the government has implemented this initiative because it's all part of sensitizing people, you know, as they keep doing this.
And career building too. We can get environmentalists, they would begin to understand the concept. Is that
the food, you know, those coconut trees, economic trees. There's trees that serve as medicine. There's trees that, you know, are harvested wood. All of these things. So, and then at the same time, too, we are creating a canopy of green environments that will help us also, you know, for carbon sequestration. At the same time, too, also ease the heavy, you know, rays that, you know, are going to be part of all these climatic changes that are going on. So
I've always loved the catch them young approach. It's
yes,
the best.
yes, with the students.
So it's the best. So I have just a couple of messages here, a few of them that I can take if I'm permitted to. Okay, my producer is very generous, or my director is very generous. So this one says, Ekuwin Emmanuel says, Rocky, wishing you the best. And Tamanja GA says, the legend, you are making sense, but in Africa, Ghana, the system of farming in Ghana is the major cause of tree cutting, and the type of crops also play a part. That's a very interesting one, right? Yes. Okay, so Kojo Asempa says, nice program indeed from Kojo Asempa Furniture Works. Kojo, you have to pay for advertising on our platform. All right. But Rocky, we are wrapping up. You have a program coming up.
Yes.
Concert. A mini concert, I'd like to call it. Or it's
it's an intimate, you know, I just got back from the, you know, my second Grammy nomination. So we're in Las Vegas. And afterwards, I did a concert in the United States. So since my return, I haven't done a concert locally. But I feel that right now, coming on the you know, on the helm of all of these environmental initiatives and being home and the opportunity to also really, you know, kind of infuse the environment with something positive. I feel there's a need for me to do, you know, a concert. I mean, this is going to be the full-on band, but we're doing it in a very intimate setting, which is the Zen Gardens on June 18th. So everybody that is listening, both from the diplomatic world to general public, this is an opportunity to experience the power of our music, the power of the need for us to, in the long run, it's all about the human connectivity. So for me, we work on the environment, work on everything so that humans can have the right...
It's an opportunity to share ideas
ideas, connect.
Meet, network.
Exactly. And honor each other and then celebrate. We have to celebrate. Yeah. So people, you gotta get ready. Let's play hard. So right. You get ready your dancing shoes.
Great.
And before I leave, I wanted to actually, offer you, a few bags from the foundation. So these are recycled from flour bags.
All right.
So it's also a means.
Texture.
Yeah, it's also a means by which bags that are from recycling and reusing stuff. And this is for
so I can
shopping.
take this to the market.
You can take it to the market, know,
to avoid the polythene bags.
Exactly,
and all of that.
exactly,
so I like the
exactly.
idea.
So we need to be promoting. We're not saying that as we are talking about plastic, we need to also be promoting alternatives like the baskets. There's a whole industry in Bolga that could be energized by us, promoting people using recycling, and they're using other means for their...
Can I have the other one? So I'm going to give one to my mother.
Yes. You can.
Well, thank you so much, Rocky. It's been so nice having you on the... Okay, Ricky is a very good friend of mine. Ricky used to be in the movie industry, and he says, get me his contact. Ricky, you need to meet this man. I'll get you his contact, definitely. I have a few messages from my friends here, and they are congratulating you for the wonderful initiative regarding World Ocean Day as well.
And I want to use the opportunity to also thank, the head of the diplomatic corps, Claudia Turbay, and the head of the United Nations mission here, Charles, my good brother, and all the ambassadors who came from, I can't even name all the countries, but so many people came there. Everybody who was there, for me, it shows that commitment that together, when we focus our ideas on a concept, the only thing that stands in our way to success is our inaction.
Absolutely.
And through that action, I feel that we ignited something beautiful.
We did.
That right now is inspiring a lot of people.
We did. It's a good start. We did. Well, thank you very much, Rocky, for coming. So it was all about inspiring community action to protect the environment with my guest, my one and only Ambassador Rocky Dawuni, UN Goodwill Ambassador for the environment for Africa. Well, thank you. You have a huge responsibility, but you are not going to share that alone. We are here to help you.
Yes, we are all
So we are always here to help you. And thank you so much for watching as well. We really appreciate your time. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to join us on today's episode of Diplomatic Affairs. We need to take the conversation to the next level, advance the conversation. You and I have a role to play, and this is just for all of us, for our collective good. So we need everybody, all hands on deck. Let's save the planet for ourselves and then for our children. So we need you to join, and let's do this. It's very important. My name is Harriet Nate, and thank you very much for watching this episode of Diplomatic Affairs. See you same time next week.